She found work at a small community centre, taught kids how to play piano. Not famous pieces, just songs they liked. She smiled more now, laughed sometimes. Her students called her kind, patient, calm. Life slowed down, and for the first time in a long while, she felt like herself again. Then one day, someone filmed her teaching. A parent maybe, or one of the kids. The video went online. This time, it was different. People didn't ask for interviews. They didn't demand comebacks. They just said, "Thank you. Your music still matters. We understand now." And Maria, sitting alone in her SM time, passed quietly for her. She found peace teaching kids how to play piano at the community centre. She didn't tell anyone who she was. To them, she was just a kind woman who smiled a lot and never got angry, even when fingers hit wrong notes. The centre wasn't fancy. It was tucked away in a small town where people knew their neighbours and locked their doors at night. Life was slow here. Safe. She liked it that way. She played every morning before class started, just for herself. The music was soft, like wind through trees. Sometimes she made up songs. Other times she remembered ones from long ago. Pieces her father used to hum while walking home from work. One day, someone filmed her. It wasn't planned. A parent dropped by early to drop off their child and caught her playing. They held up their phone and recorded for a few minutes. Just a moment. Nothing big. But then something happened. The video went online. Not with headlines or drama. Just a simple post. "Watch this lady play piano. Her hands carry stories." People watched, then shared, then asked questions. "Who is she? Do you know her name? I've seen her before." Soon, more people came to the community centre. Some said they recognized her. Others had heard rumours. A few brought flowers. One old man sat outside and cried after hearing her play. She stayed quiet. When reporters showed up asking questions, she said nothing, just kept teaching, kept playing. A local filmmaker heard about her and reached out. He wanted to make something. Not for money, not for fame, but to show what real music sounded like, what healing looked like, what silence could become when given time. She thought about it for days. Then finally, she agreed. On one condition: no interviews, no talking heads, just the music. Let the piano speak. So he filmed gently. Quiet moments, her hands on keys, children learning, laughter between lessons, the sun coming through dusty windows, rain tapping against the roof as she played. When the film was done, he called it "The Waitress Who Played Silence." Nobody expected much. He posted it online for free, but people watched and watched again. They left comments like, "This is beautiful. I needed this today. You gave me hope." Some even started learning piano themselves. Others sent messages thanking her in their own ways. And slowly, without trying, she became known again. Not as a star, not as a mystery, but as a teacher, a healer, a voice that returned not because the world asked for it, but because it was ready. One evening after class, a young girl sat beside her at the piano. "Will you play something for me?" she asked. Maria smiled. "Of course." She placed her hands on the keys, took a breath, and began to play. Not for cameras, not for stages, not for fame, just for the joy of it, just for the love of music. And this time, the silence around her didn't feel heavy. It felt whole. All home watched the comments roll in, and for once, she didn't look away. She smiled, because now she was playing only for herself, and that was enough. She thought she'd found peace in teaching, in small moments, in quiet music played for young ears and open hearts. But the world had other plans. The film about her, The Waitress Who Played Silence, kept spreading. Not fast like a viral clip, but slowly, like fire moving through dry grass. People shared it gently, with care. a message here, an email there. Some wrote letters by hand. One woman sent a thank you note saying, "Your music reminded me it's okay to take time." Another wrote, "I stopped running from my pain after watching you," and then came the invitations. Local colleges asked her to speak. Music schools wanted her to teach masterclasses. Even a famous conservatory reached out, offering her a place if she ever wanted to return to performing. She said no to all of them. She wasn't ready, maybe never would be. Then one day, an envelope arrived at the community centre, old-fashioned, handwritten. Inside was a letter from a man who once worked at the diner. He wrote, "Hey Maria, I saw the film. You look lighter now. We miss your music. At the diner. The band still plays every weekend, but something feels missing. They're asking if you'll come back, just once. No pressure. Just play if you want to. It's your home." She read it twice. That night, she sat at the piano and played longer than usual. Her fingers danced like they hadn't in years. She didn't stop when her hands tired. She let the music carry her. She didn't answer the letter right away. Instead, she walked into town, watched children playing near the park, listened to people laugh without hiding behind a screen or camera. She felt something shift inside her. Not pressure, not fear. Something softer. Hope. A few weeks later, she packed her small bag, left the town where she'd hidden for years, took a train back to the city she once fled. Not because she had to, but because she wanted to. When she arrived, the diner looked almost the same. The signs still flickered at night. The smell of coffee still filled the air. People noticed her. But this time they didn't stare, didn't reach for phones. They just smiled. The owner greeted her like she'd never left. "You still remember the way?" he asked, nodding toward the piano. She nodded. She stepped forward, touched the keys like greeting an old friend, then sat down. No cameras, no stage, lights, just her and the music. She began to play, and as the notes filled the room, something returned. Not fame, not pressure, but joy. Real, pure, untouched joy. She looked up once and saw the faces in the room, smiling, crying, remembering. This time, she didn't run. She stayed. Because for the first time in years, she wasn't afraid of the silence anymore. Because now, it belonged to her. She played that night like it was the first time all over again. No stage lights, no phones recording, just music flowing through the little diner, wrapping around people like a warm blanket. After the last note faded, she sat for a moment with her hands on the keys, breathing slowly. Then she stood, gave a small smile, and walked back behind the counter. Someone asked if she'd be coming back next week. She thought about it, then said, "Maybe." And that was enough. In the weeks that followed, she didn't return every weekend, but sometimes she showed up, sat at the piano, played something soft, something real. People came not just for the food or the show, but for the feeling her music gave them, like they were being heard, understood. News of her return spread, but this time she didn't run from it. She started teaching again, not just kids now, but anyone who wanted to learn. She held free piano classes at the community centre and even helped start a small music program at the local library. She wasn't famous anymore. She was just present. One afternoon, a girl walked into the library class with wide eyes and shaky fingers. She said she'd seen the film about Maria and wanted to play like her someday. Maria smiled and pulled up another chair. "You don't have to play like me," she said gently. "Just play what feels true." The girl nodded, placed her hands on the keys, and tried. That became the rhythm of Maria's life, teaching, playing, living quietly but fully, not hiding, not chasing anything. She had found something rare, peace without silence. Sometimes, when she closed her eyes while playing, she could almost hear her father's voice humming along, not with sadness, but with pride. She knew now that music hadn't taken him from her. It had kept him close. Years later, someone asked her during a small interview why she never returned to big stages or fancy concerts. She looked at them like the answer was obvious. "I used to think I had to prove myself," she said. "Now I know. I only ever needed to remember why I started playing in the first place." She paused. "Music isn't about being heard by everyone," she said. "It's about hearing yourself." And that she had finally done. So one evening, as the sun dipped behind the city skyline and painted the sky in orange and pink, Maria sat at the piano once more. She took a deep breath. Then she played, not for the world, not for fame, just for the joy, just because it felt right. And when the final note left her fingers, she smiled, because this time, the silence that followed it was full of peace. She moved quietly through the small diner, carrying heavy trays with steady hands. Her uniform was plain, black pants, white shirt, and a name tag that read, Maria. Most people didn't know her name, but they remembered her. Not because she spoke much, but because when the music played, she seemed to feel it more than anyone else. The little cafe had been around for years. It wasn't fancy, but every weekend a local jazz band would play in the corner near the window. People came not just for the food, but for the music, and Maria, the waitress who never smiled too much, always seemed connected to it somehow. She'd hum along softly while wiping tables, swaying slightly as if pulled by the rhythm. No one knew where she came from, really. She kept to herself. But sometimes, when the piano solo got deep, you could see something flash in her eyes. Something old. Something sad. What most didn't know was that long ago, far from this city, she used to sit at a piano bench, tiny fingers dancing across keys before she even learned to write her name. She was born in Havana, raised in a house filled with music and secrets. Her father was a pianist who believed music could heal wounds words couldn't touch. From the time she could walk, he taught her to listen, not just to notes, but to silence between them. Then everything changed. One night, her father left for work and never came back. No explanation. No goodbye. Just gone. Her mother packed quickly after that. They left behind their home, their life, and everything tied to music. In the new country, survival mattered more than melodies. Maria grew up fast. She learned how to blend in, how to stay quiet. Music became dangerous. It reminded her of what she'd lost. So she stopped playing, stopped singing, even stopped humming out loud, but she never forgot. Years passed. She found work at the diner. It was humble, safe, predictable. Until Saturday nights, when the music returned. And with it, a part of her she thought she'd buried long ago. She told herself it was okay to listen, to feel a little. No one needed to know how deeply it touched her, but someone always noticed. A regular customer once asked why she never joined in when the musicians invited others to play. She smiled gently and said, "Some voices are meant to stay quiet." He didn't understand then, but soon the whole world would. Rain tapped against the windows of the diner that Saturday night. The place was half full, just enough people to make the room feel warm without being loud. The usual live band was set, up in the corner, but something was off. The piano player hadn't shown up. The owner paced near the counter, clearly worried. Maria wiped her hands on her apron, watching quietly. She'd seen this happen before. Musicians got stuck in traffic, called in sick, changed their minds. Usually, the show just didn't go on. But tonight was different. The owner turned to the crowd and shrugged. "No piano tonight, folks. Sorry." Then an older man raised his hand. "Waitress girl," he said, pointing at Maria. "She always hums along. Can she play?" Everyone looked at her. Her face went red. She shook her head fast, avoiding eye contact. But the owner stepped toward her, hopeful. "Come on, Maria. Just a few songs." She hesitated. Her hands curled into fists. A lifetime of silence stood behind her. But something inside whispered, maybe it was time. Without a word, she walked slowly toward the piano. The bench felt foreign under her fingers. She sat down, back straight, eyes closed for a moment. Then she touched the keys. A deep note rang out. The room fell quiet. Her fingers started to move, slow at first, then faster. The sound filled every corner of the diner. It wasn't just music. It was memory, pain, joy, and longing all mixed into one. People stopped eating, phones came out, eyes widened. One woman covered her mouth, an old man blinked away tears. Maria played like she had never stopped. By the second song, the place was packed with people standing near the door, trying to see. Someone filmed it all. Another person posted it online before the night ended. By morning, the video had thousands of views. Comments poured in. Who is she? This is magic. This is real talent. Reporters showed up at the diner by noon. One asked, "Did you used to play professionally?" Maria shook her head. "Not really." "Where did you learn?" She smiled softly. "From my father." "Where is he now?" She paused, then said, "Gone." That was all she said, but it was enough. Word spread fast. By week's end, local news had done stories. A radio host played the clip on air. Listeners wrote in, moved by the emotion in her playing. And still, Maria returned to work the next Saturday. She didn't know what would come next. She only knew that when she played, something inside her woke up again, something she thought she had lost forever. The diner wasn't the same after the video spread. Reporters came every morning. People drove from other towns just to see her. Some brought flowers. Others asked for autographs like she was a movie star. Maria kept wiping tables, but now with cameras flashing all around her. She smiled politely, but inside, everything felt heavy. One day, a man in a suit walked in. He said he worked for a music company. He told her they had to talk. They sat at a corner booth. He showed her phone clips of that rainy night. "You have something rare," he said. "People feel things when they hear you play." He offered her a chance to make an album, a real one, with producers, a team, tours across the country. Maria didn't say yes right away. She thought about her mother who still cried when she heard piano music, about the silence she'd built her life around. But something inside her whispered again, maybe this was different, maybe this was healing. She agreed. Soon, her life changed fast. She left the diner behind. She moved into a small apartment near the studio. People started calling her by name on the street. Fans wrote messages online. "Your music saved me. You made me cry." At first, it felt good. For years, she had stayed unseen. Now, people were finally listening. But the more she played for others, the less it felt like her own music anymore. Producers asked her to change songs, to add lyrics, to wear certain clothes. "This is how people want to hear you," they said. But it didn't sound like her. It sounded like noise. Still, she tried to keep going. She gave interviews, smiled for photos, sat through long meetings where grown men talked about her soul like it was part of a business plan. Then came the first big concert. It was in a packed theatre downtown. Thousands of eyes watched as she stepped onto the stage. The lights were bright. The air was thick. She sat at the piano and looked out, and froze. For a moment she couldn't move. Her fingers hovered over the keys. Her heart pounded. The silence stretched longer than it should have. Someone whispered off stage, "Just start playing," but she couldn't. Memories came back, her father's hands teaching hers, his voice humming softly. Then, the empty house, the quiet after he was gone. The crowd shifted, people leaned forward. Someone coughed nervously. Then, slowly, Maria stood up. She walked off the stage without a word. Behind her, the band tried to cover the gap. The host smiled too hard and said, technical issues, but everyone knew it wasn't true. After that night, the headlines changed. She's not ready for fame. What's wrong with her? Too much pressure. Her phone buzzed non-stop. Messages from fans asking if she was okay. Messages from her team saying, "We can fix this." But deep down, Maria felt like she was disappearing again. Not into silence this time, but into something louder, something that didn't belong to her. And for the first time since she sat at that piano in the diner, she wondered if she had made a mistake. The days after the concert felt like walking through fog. Maria stopped answering calls. She turned off her phone. Her manager left voice messages she never listened to. Fans posted online, "Are you okay? We miss you." She read one comment that stuck with her. "You played from your heart before. Now it feels like someone else is telling you what to say." It was true. She had stepped into the spotlight, hoping to share something real. But now, every note she played felt like it belonged to someone else. Not her. Not anymore. Her mother came to visit. She didn't say much, just sat beside her on the couch, holding her hand like when she was little. "I told you music would take more than it gives," she said quietly. Maria didn't argue. One night, a friend from the diner showed up at her door, just to check on her. They shared tea at the kitchen table. "You don't have to do this," he said. "You don't owe them anything." She looked at him and blinked back tears. "I just wanted to play again." "Then play," he said. "Not for shows, not for albums, just for yourself." That night, Maria opened the piano cover and sat down. She let her hands move without thinking. No rules, no schedule, no pressure. And slowly, bit by bit, the music came back to her. Not as a job, not as fame, but as peace. But outside her apartment, the world wasn't done with her yet. A few weeks later, an article appeared online. Someone claimed she had a breakdown. Another story said she was hiding because of drug use. None of it was true, but once it was out there, people believed it. Sponsors pulled away. The record label sent one last email. "We're sorry, but we can't. Continue." She felt shame. Not because of the lies, but because she couldn't explain herself without sounding angry or broken. So she didn't try. She packed her things, left the city, moved somewhere quiet where no one knew her. No goodbyes, no interviews, just silence again. Not the kind that hurt, but the kind that gave her space to heal. Years passed.